Hello, welcome to Tick Talk. I'm Robin Swithinbank, a watch critic and editor-in-chief of the JAGUAR magazine. Today we're looking at British brand Bremont, one of the great recent success stories of the luxury watch industry. It was founded in the early 2000s by a pair of very aptly named British brothers, Nick and Giles English. They're a spirited, hugely determined pair of aviation nuts. The story begins though with tragedy. In 1995, Nick and his father Ewan crashed their Second World War plane while practicing for an air display. Ewan was killed and Nick suffered life-threatening injuries. Nick survived, and a few years later he and Giles were flying over France when they got into some difficulty. They landed in a field which belonged to a farmer who took them in and gave them shelter for the night. It turned out that this farmer was very much like their father Ewan. He was a pilot and had flown during the war, and he was also an engineering enthusiast, and they evidently liked this man very much because when it came to naming their watch brand a few years later, they named it after him. His name was Antoine Bremont. So the first watch I picked out is from the aviation collection. It's the ALTI-P chronograph. And the ALTI-P has been in the Bremont collection since the very beginning of the company, and as a result it's about as close as you'll get to a Bremont signature design. As all pilots' watches are, this is a highly legible watch. They use a sans serif font on the dial. It's a chronograph, so it's very, very functional. And it's also chronometer certified, which is typical of Bremont watches. They are sent to an independent institute in Switzerland where they are tested for accuracy. And then this year they introduced a new pilot's watch called the AIRCO MACH, a less overtly technical piece aimed at guys who like a watch inspired by aviation but want something more versatile. So a day-wear watch you can pair with a smart jacket or dress up when you're going out for dinner at the weekend. And then recently Bremont started making watches for the sailing community, and this is the ACR2, the second regatta watch Bremont has made to mark its relationship with the America's Cup, the world's oldest sporting contest. So it has a countdown indicated by this sub-dial here at 12 o'clock. And while that's handy for timing pasta, it's designed for skippers given 10 minutes until a race start, so they can time the moment they cross the start line to perfection. Sticking with water, this is the new SUPERMARINE Type 301. At just 40mm in diameter, it's small by traditional divers' watch standards, but Bremont's been really smart here, because bulky, chunky divers' watches are great when you're scubaing in the Med, but back home they mess with your cuff. It still qualifies as a professional diver's watch though. It's waterproof to 300 meters. It has a unidirectional rotating bezel for timing dives, and it's in the same hardened steel case that Bremont is famous for. Lastly, to Bremont's Jaguar Mark II, one of the most successful car and watch designs I can think of, simply because it captures the dashboard instrument panel of a 1960s Jaguar E-Type so succinctly. The hour markers are arranged over a 270-degree portion of the dial like the E-Type speedometer. Encased in 43mm of polished stainless steel, it's a perfect marriage of two of Britain's great manufacturing marks. All of these watches, no matter what or who they're designed for, are peppered with considered touches that have propelled Bremont forward. They've helped make them so popular with pilots, adventurers and men who want a watch that has a calm, handsome, masculine authority about it. Best of British, you might say.